this is Halia Jones, and you are listening to the Three Geeks Podcast.
I've been dedicated to the podcast so much. That's where all my time's going. It's not work.
Well, I hear you, man. That's all I've been doing is working, dude. It's just been ridiculous. Matter of fact, Dad came home from work and just laid down and took a nap for about 30, 45 minutes before getting on here, man. So I hope I got my hairdo right.
I'm jealous. I wish I could have taken a nap today. I'm telling you right now, Eric, I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah, man, I had to. I normally don't do that. I was just freaking exhausted. I worked out hard yesterday. We went and rode bikes in the mountains on Sunday, which they had this loop up here in North Georgia mountains. It's intense, man. They call it 3 Yabs. It's a lot of elevation. And yesterday hit the gym, and this morning I rode with some guys, did 35 miles, and then but it's been working too, looking at jobs and writing estimates all night. It's just been kind of crazy. So my body, I'm just not as young as I used to be.
That's the truth. I'm going through that now too.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, welcome to the Three Geeks Podcast and PVD collaboration. My name's Jason. That's John, and we got Eric Morris with us today. So, Eric, tell us about yourself.
Well, I don't know. I like long kennel walks, long walks on the beach and kennel, things like that.
What made you want to get into acting?
I've just always been an artist at heart. When I was a kid, I started playing guitar. I was a musician, and I've always been a musician my whole life. And I discovered acting along the way, and it's very similar. It's kind of a artistic outlet, just delivered in a different way. So I guess the way I found it is my son, when he was much younger, he had an interest, and we got him involved in a local, what do you call it, like a little agency, a modeling agency, and he had some photos done and stuff like that. I was doing background work, and that's kind of what led me into this myself.
So you talked about your musical past and your musical passion, I should say, excuse me. Do you have a favorite genre?
Yeah, well, I like older stuff. More. I do a lot of country, not the country that most people probably think of. Like I'm a Johnny Cash fan. I like Willie Nelson. There's a lot of your old school types. Some of your old rock, your old Bob Seger, stuff like that. I'll try to do a lot. That's my music I like to listen to when I'm listening to real music and I just want to jam, like riding down the road or something. But I'll play a lot of their songs too. Try to cover them. I have to change it up a little bit for my unique, my deep voice, but I've made it work several times playing out. I used to play out in restaurants, bars, fairs and stuff like that. And I do a lot of covers. I even do Purple Rain by Prince, man. It's kind of different.
Now, you know what? I did some research and I heard that your grandfather was in construction and he was in like the cement business. And is it true that he poured like cement at Johnny Cash's house?
Yeah, it sure is.
Did he get to interact with the Man in Black or no?
Yeah, this is back in the day now. This is when the Man in Black was, he was big, at the time, but, he was not the legend that he is now. But, yeah, my grandfather was a musician too. He grew up he's from Nashville, and he played guitar. He wasn't much of a singer, but he would go to, they had this thing, and I think they still do it. It's called the Ernest Tubb Midnight Jamboree. It's kind of a cool thing, but back in the day, it was real cool. Just musicians would show up at this radio station at midnight, and they'd jam, and they'd record it. So they'd have bar jams. He'd go to those. Claims he met Hank Williams at one time, played with him. A lot of other guys that were not legends yet. They're just guys, that play. So, but anyways, yeah, he went to Johnny Cash's house because he was wanted an estimate to do his driveway or something when they were building the house, and he gave him a quote, and Johnny Cash told him that it's not high enough. You need to rewrite it. So he wrote it again, and he said it's still not high enough. So he pretty much told him what he needed to charge him, and so he did, and got the job and did it. And so it kind of, it's a testament to maybe what Johnny Cash was really like, what kind of person he was. Just a good dude.
Yeah. Wow, that's
awesome. Like, you need to give me more money. No, this isn't good yet. Like, you need to charge me more. That's awful. A lot of people won't do that.
No, and but yeah, he sure did, man. So it's kind of a neat story. But yeah, my grandfather, he chased that up there for years, and but he passed away when I was young. I was maybe 12 or 13 or something. I got sick with a lung disorder or something, probably out breathing, fibrosis of the lungs or something like that. He wasn't big on wearing a mask when he should have been, concrete dust and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I also read where you're very much involved in the film community in Atlanta. So could you talk a little bit about how you got involved in that? And I have a quick follow-up question, but I'll let you go ahead and tell the listeners and the watchers at home how you got involved.
Well, I had an interest in it much later. My son was, when he was young, he had an interest in acting, and he was a very handsome young man. So we got him involved in some modeling and had a little agent, and he was doing background work. And this is at the time period in Atlanta where, like, the Walking Dead had just got started. The Vampire Diaries was going. Sleepy Hollow was another one. There was a few shows it was when the Hollywood of the South was really taking root here. And he did a lot of background work, and him being a minor, somebody had to be on set with him. So sometimes we would go, me or my wife. And one time, a director made a comment to me about it, and just thought maybe I should check it out. Whatever reason, I was like, okay. And then I didn't. My son actually, he wound up losing interest in it. But along the way, I looked at a property for my business, a gentleman that needed some repair on the property he was looking at purchasing. And we got to talking, and he was from Los Angeles originally, and he was an actor trained at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. And I started asking a lot of questions, and he could tell that I was interested. So he invited me to his studio that he had locally. He had a little acting class, and that's all she wrote for me. I'll never look back.
So if I could ask a follow-up question, specifically about Atlanta, why do you think it became so popular of a place? I imagine that there are a lot of financial reasons involved, but what might be some of the kind of intangibles that Atlanta brings a film company to come and shoot there?
Well, at the time, was the mayor? I think it was the mayor at the time, maybe, or somebody of government for Georgia or Atlanta. They wanted Hollywood to come here and film here. He knew that there would be good financial incentives for the state if they did so. So they made really great tax incentives for any kind of film development that's shot here in Atlanta. That was the biggest thing, because at the time, I don't think a lot of states were really doing it, and some of them that were, they weren't doing it as deep as an incentive as here in Atlanta they are. So that started making people come here, and that's just ballooned. I mean, every year it just grew and grew and just continued to grow, and until recently with the virus, that's kind of really put the brakes on all productions. But that's the main reason. And I think a lot of productions that were shooting in California or in other places, they saw the uniqueness of Georgia. It's cheaper to film here, not just the incentives, but also just living costs for out of town talent, things like that. And just the South, man, I love it. It's where I'm from. I think the personality, the flair here is a little different than maybe where a lot of those guys are from. The biggest thing with out of town productions, which a lot of them come from Hollywood in California. They come here and they'll shoot something, but a lot of their main cast is usually cast out of California. So they'll use Atlanta talent for supporting, day players, those types of roles. However, there's some guys here in town that are some pretty heavy hitter actors that have done some pretty impressive stuff. There's one guy I was been watching Cobra Kai on TV.
Good show.
I know it's great. But the guy that's one of those an episode, I think maybe the third or fourth episode, the teacher of the classroom, he had a big scene, and he's an acting coach down at a school here called Drama Inc. I've been in his class, so it's kind of cool to see people that I know, doing some pretty big stuff, and that's just one of them. There's several other stories I could tell you, but. So it's changing in Atlanta. There are casting directors that are here are just using a lot of local talent when they can. So, yeah, that's how it started, and it's just been steady growing every year. It's been more and more. The last time I saw a list of what's being filmed here, it's like, man, it's like 200 or 300 different things. And if you read the list, you would be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's like you hear of all these things, that like, oh yeah, so it's cool, man.
Yeah, I think, not too long ago, we talked to Eric Goins, who's from Atlanta, and he had mentioned that Halt and Catch Fire was filmed in Atlanta. And I'll be honest, Eric, I never would have guessed that. I would have absolutely bet money that it was filmed out west, out there in California.
Yeah. Well, Cobra Kai, a lot of that's filmed here. So there's some of it is filmed there, but a lot of it's done here. And I don't know which parts exactly, but I saw several auditions for Cobra Kai when they were filming it myself, so I knew they were filming it here. But so yeah, they're able to, they can set the scene, so to speak, and in the beginning and shoot most of it here, just like Ozark. A lot of that's shot here at Lakeland here. So I think it's set in, the Ozarks. So I guess that'd be Missouri, somewhere up in that area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. So, what is it about acting? I guess what is the thing about acting that you like as opposed to music?
It's just a different delivery. It's more, it's a visual art, and you have to really be convincing, and you got to use your emotions. It's just a lot of different techniques that you would use. I mean, some of it crosses over into live performances and music. It's very similar, but acting is much more difficult, at least for me. It's more challenging. It's just not easy for me to show emotions and make it seem convincing. So I think that's why I like it so much, because of the difficulty of it, and it's all subjective. Any art is music, acting. You're always going to have somebody that thinks you're terrible, man. So there's really no right or wrong, but to be good at it for the majority, it's tough.
I'd like to talk about a couple of your projects that you've worked on, Eric. One that I was doing some research on and read, it was called Rest Stop. And the film was based on a short story by Stephen King. Mm-hmm. So did that put a little more pressure on you and maybe even the rest of the cast to, step up and bring the A game even more so because it's a Stephen King story? Or was it just, no, it's just another project that I'd still give it 110% no matter whose name is on it?
No, that was it's a pretty big deal. That was shot by the gentleman here by the name of Stephen Dean. He's a director, small independent filmmaker. There's a thing, I don't know what they call it, but it's got a name that Stephen King does where you can use, I think, some of those short stories or something like that, and you can make a project. But the deal is, you can change some of the dynamics of the storyline, but not too much. And then, but you can't sell it. You're not even really supposed to show it to the public. The only thing that happens is that a copy of it goes to Stephen King. So it's
Oh.
in itself is kind of cool. But when I played the character of Rick Harding, I think was his name in that book, which is basically the dark side of the main character, which this Stephen, he changed the story where it's not the original Rest Stop story. It's based on a male. It's a writer that's very timid. He's kind of shy, just whatever, doesn't have the whatever you want to call it, courage. So, but Rick Harding, his dark side comes out when he needs it, and that's what it's kind of based on. But he changed that main character to a female, and so it made it kind of just different. It was what shot is pretty good. There's some things I wish I could change as far as I wasn't happy with my performance, but overall it was good. And knowing that a copy of it is in Stephen King's reach is that's kind of cool. He's one of my favorites. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that they had to send a copy to Stephen King. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that in itself is pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he watched it, and so he saw my bug.
Well, I want to ask about another film that you just recently, I think it was February, it came out, I think, right before the pandemic. And I thought it was such a unique tale. It's called Justice on Trial, the movie 2020. Could you maybe tell the audience that's watching or listening a little bit about that project?
Sure. That story is based on a true story. Well, let me say this: that movie, I believe, is based on it's like a conglomerate of a few stories.
Okay.
But the main story, the one that I'm a part of, is based on this. There's a gentleman or young man back in 1956, 58, or something like that, in Mississippi. A black kid from Chicago. His name was Emmett Till, and he was visiting, I think, family or something down in Mississippi. And him being from Chicago, he wasn't aware of the differences of like what racism is in Chicago versus what racism is in Mississippi. The story goes along something to the effect of he went to a local grocery store, a little mom and pop owned store, and supposedly he said something to a female that worked there, the owner's wife, something like "Hey baby" or something. Just being goofy. And anyways, he really pissed off the guy and that owned the store. And I'm trying to think of his name. Roy Bryant, I think that's his name.
I think that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my character. So anyways, the true story is Roy Bryant. I believe his brother-in-law. They supposedly take the kid, kidnap him, and they beat him to death, and they murder him. It's pretty sad. What's unique about the story, besides the fact that it's very sad, is that also at the same time, the FBI reopened that case. At the same time this movie came out, they were reopening the case because they found out that the wife, the woman that said that Mr. Till said something to her before she passed, she said that was just a bunch of BS. It didn't even happen. So Roy Bryant and his brother-in-law were acquitted of the charges within like 10 minutes or something like that. As a suit, I mean, it was Mississippi, and so yes, very very sad, very dark past we have, but it's happening when we tell the story. And I don't really like playing those characters, but I seem to find myself in those types of roles often. So I don't like it, but we're telling the story, so it's I'm just doing my part, man. But that's what that's about. Oh, and it stars Jeff Bridges in that film, which I didn't know that. I didn't know he was in the film. I mean, we were not in a scene together, but when I saw that on IMDb myself, I was like, wait a minute, Jeff Bridges from Different Strokes? I'm like, I grew up watching Different Strokes, my favorite show, man. So it's to me, that's one of my highlights of my acting so far, is that I get to share credit with Jeff Bridges.
I was going to ask you about what you just said, that you seem to get quite a few of those darker type of characters.
Yeah.
What do you consider that the reasoning being that you get those darker roles?
Man, I don't know. You know,
You're just good at doing them.
I'm just good at it. I made killing people look fun. I don't know. I don't know how to, but I think it just kind of started early on. I just kind of fell into it. My eyes and I can have a very mean look. It just becomes natural. I don't try. When I was growing up, people thought I was pissed off all the time, and I had to learn how to try to smile more often, even though I don't feel like it, just so people wouldn't think I was in a bad mood, stuff like that. So it comes natural and easily for me to. In my eyes, they sit further in my head, and so it just. I make a good creeper, man. I don't know. So, I'd rather not. I enjoy doing the goofy stuff when I can do it. It's not a lot of it, but I've done some, and I have a good time with that. Just anything that's funny, more lighthearted. Now, my goal actually this year, before the virus hit, I was going to get some more images of me and some goofier looks and stuff like that. I start trying to sell myself as more of that type of character and start trying to go that route to do, some stuff maybe just more lighthearted, funny, not comedy, but kind of like that. Good stuff. Just ends on a good note, things like that.
Well, you have quite a few projects coming up. I was looking in your IMDb, and there's a lot that are either in production or just finishing up.
Yeah, we're completed.
Some of them completed. The Bounty Hunter, The Next Assignment, Vixens and Villains. I mean, a ton of them. So you've been a busy guy.
Yeah, a lot of those have been in limbo for a minute. They've been
okay.
So like the Bounty Hunter, for instance, that one is a cool project. It's the director's name's Tim Everett. He has a thing called his film production company's Bravo Whiskey Charlie Films, BWC Films, and he's a veteran. Did a lot back in the war. Anyways, he wrote this film, The Bounty Hunter, and it's very good written. It's really a good Western. It's a Western, is what it is. And it's very time period correct, which is pretty cool. I play a gentleman Johnny. Basically, I'm in a love. Well, I'm part of the love. Let me say that again. The female is the love interest, and we have a thing. And her father is the bad guy that controls the town, and they try to frame me because he don't like me, and then so they hire the bounty hunter to come hunt me down. That's later on we team up and fight his guys, but that's what happens. But it's just kind of cool. But he made it time period correct, so it's difficult with everything. It's very slow. Having locations to shoot, stuff like that. It's just a process, and it's been drawn out for a long period of time. He had some scenes from characters. So recently, he lost one right before the virus. He had a main character. I don't know what happened to her, man. She dropped out, so he had to recast her. Had to reshoot scenes. Then we had the virus, so it's just like, man, it's just like one thing after another. So there's only a handful of, just a couple scenes left, but trying to get those done, he's got to get other things done now. So it's what's dragging it out. But I think it's going to do very well once people see it. They're going to love it. I've seen some of it already, and it's pretty good to be a Western, shot on a low budget. So the other ones, very similar stories. They've gotten drug out. The Next Assignment, I think they actually wound up redoing that whole project. I think they even changed. I think they changed my character. They just haven't updated IMDb yet.
Oh,
they changed it completely. I mean, it's like a whole different direction. I played this guy that was the leader of the bad guys. And I think they've done away with that. I mean, like they're just. I heard that they've changed the whole story. I mean, it's not even the same at all. So, it's still, I still have credit for it because we shot. I think they shot 1 or 2 episodes, and I'm not sure. Vixens and Villains. It's out some guys out in Texas, Houston, Texas. They didn't. It's just incomplete. They got started and then had some budget problems, and then the virus hit, so that's been stopped. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there either. So some of those are just in limbo. It's not like we're in the middle of filming them. A lot of things have just stopped, since February. So it's been tough for a lot of folks to have to make a living shooting productions and stuff like that. But for me, luckily, I've been self-employed and I have a business, and we've been doing very well, staying very busy. And so I'd rather be filming and involved, if I can. But it's just right now, it's just kind of, we're just waiting to see what happens.
So, can you tell me what is Double Dads about? The title struck my eye.
That's one of the goofy comedies that I've done, and it was I've never seen it. I saw a small, put together, very short clip of what the gentleman who put it, the guy who shot it. But it's a sizzler for a series, and it's a comedy series. It's about two guys that become the dad of a child, and they all live together with the wife, with the girl. It's a weird storyline. Basically, that I play this cowboy type, kind of rugged guy, and the other guy is kind of like a younger, more clean, like model type guy. So it's got a unique dynamic. It's just kind of funny. Me and him, he's dorky. The other guy's very super, like, just goofy, just weird, dorky. Where I'm more, I'm just very abrupt and I say crude things. It's just kind of funny. So I was hoping that would get picked up or something. I haven't heard anything back, and it's been a minute, so it may just be water under the bridge. But that was a project that I was really wanting for it to go somewhere. Because of my character. It's like we said a little while ago. I enjoy playing that kind of stuff.
Do you have like one dream role, like one part that you would love to play in a film or in a TV show?
Yes, I do. I like to do an awesome Western or something with Matthew McConaughey, something that's written by Clint Eastwood. That'd be the dream.
I can see that. You and McConaughey as brothers.
That'd be awesome. He's one of my favorite actors, and him being from Texas. I'm not from Texas. I used to live in San Antonio years ago, but he's just, I like him. He's just I've always liked his work, even when he was younger, back in the, but that famous saying that he had, whatever it was, I can't think, guys. I'm so tired. But
is it the Dazed and Confused one?
That one. That's the one.
Yeah, high school girls, they stay the same age.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, even in his later work, yeah. Oh, no, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I thought he was awesome. He had the mechanical leg, and he's crushing people's skulls with it and stuff.
I forgot he was in that. The Next Generation. Yeah, I just watched that for the first time.
He's all crazy driving the tow truck, and he's all psychotic. I just thought it was kind of cool. It was funny, But and then Dallas Buyers Club, Serenity. I actually like that. That I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but it's really good. He's in a video game, and I'm always trying to catch that big fish.
He was great in The Gentleman that came out earlier this year. He was very, very good in it.
Yep. Yeah, that's true, man. So he's just one of my favorite actors, and he's got a little bit of a Southern twang. It's not as deep as mine, but he has it too. So it just kind of, I feel like we got some stuff in common. So yeah, it'd be awesome, man, to one day just even be a supporting character or something and working with him. That's what I'd like to do.
You have any advice for anybody that wants to get into acting?
Don't. I'm just messing, man. Take it serious. Treat it like a business. forget about, ask yourself, why do you want to do this? Because you really better have the right heart and the right goal if you want to do this, because you will not make it. I'm not saying I've made it, but you won't survive it. I mean, it's just, you can't get into it because you think you want the big house with the big car and about all the babes and all the, paparazzi following you around. It's just not going to happen, man. I mean, it's just, there's so small percentage of people that ever get to that level. Forget about that. It's not even about that. It's not about the money. You do it because you want to, because you like it and you enjoy it, and you look at it as an art, and you want to be good at it. That's the way to be, because this business has a lot of letdowns. You'll go through 1,000 no's before you get that one yes. Some of these projects we're talking about, I was lucky to get cast in them or asked to play the character, but we ain't mentioned like all the projects that I got told no. I mean, it's, man. So those projects there, if there's 30 or 40 listed on IMDb, I don't know, man. Gosh, probably 40,000 no's. So there's a lot of submitting and a lot of you feeling like you don't exist type stuff. So it can mess with your mind. So you've got to just treat it like a business. You're selling yourself and do a good job. And always try to get better, continue to train and invest in yourself. Don't think you need to be, you can do free work, just do it. Free work and it's better than no work. And it also gives you more practice. Every time you're on set, you learn something. Every time I've done it, I've learned something new every time. I may be a little more seasoned than some others, and when I can see that, it's kind of nice to be able to help another actor in some kind of way, even if it's just me in my performance, and making trying to bring the most out of them, So it's a unique thing. It's a different business, when you compare acting to like what my real business is, man, it's totally different. You don't have a lot of control as an actor in your acting business. You can control only so much, and that's number one, your mindset, because you get told no a lot, and unfortunately, a lot of folks can't deal with that. They start questioning their ability, and they lose their self-esteem, and get caught up in bad substance abuse. Next thing people commit suicide. It's just, it can lead you into a dark place if you let it. But you just got to stay away from that. Stay away from the bad people. Surround yourself with good people that support you. And there's always going to be somebody who just don't like you. Live with it. Move on, so with it. That's the best advice that I could give anybody trying to become an actor. Just do it for the right reasons. Treat it like a business. And stay solid.
There you go. Well, Eric, we want to go ahead and start wrapping things up here. Is there any website, social media, or anything where folks can follow you and keep tabs on your career?
IMDb is the best place to see what I have going on. It's just, imdb.com. It's Eric James Morris is who you need to search for. That is my full name. That's my acting name. Because there's another guy named Eric Morris that's been in the business for a long time. He's a well-known acting coach out in Los Angeles. So that's why I go by the full name. So search for that in Google or whatever, you'll be able to find me. But also on Facebook, Instagram, I'm on there too. Instagram is just Eric James Morris, all one word.
Okay.
Facebook is my personal page is Eric Morris and the number 2. And I have a professional page as well. So that's the best places to find me online. I'm not super active, I'm just not as active as I probably should be, but I do get on there. I make posts about whatever, my life, cycling a lot is what I like to do the most. So it's just acting so slow. It's just not, there's really not a lot to talk about what's coming up, so it's, but yeah, feel free, if your audience wants to reach out to me, tell them, feel free to do so. I'd love to help them, or I'd love for them to follow me. Their support is much appreciated.
All right. There you go.
Everybody just hit that like button. Show love to Eric Morris on all of his social medias. And from all of us, have a great night.
Thanks.